Welcome everybody to TPI, the Total Podcast Idiot Show, where we cover everything and anything in the hardwood universe. I'm Robert, one of your hosts, and that's Andrew, one of your co-hosts over there. Andrew, how you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm really good right now. We're recording a bit earlier in the day than normal, but it feels good.
I'm
Right now,
sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Actually, right now, games are like simming and development has happened, so we're keeping track on that a little bit. But as you can see and probably heard, we have a special guest today. Want to introduce yourself?
Okay, guys. First of all, I know this might caught you off guard, but I'd like to admit right now that I'm actually Steve. No, I'm serious.
Wait.
Really?
Wait,
Yeah.
well,
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just doing it for the memes. I'm just doing it for the memes.
that is the best
Did,
podcast
yeah.
open we've had. Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh,
Got me.
I
You
was,
got me.
do you guys remember in the Discord? I think Fury was asking it was Steve or a bus, and it's a bus, Fury. Okay, it's not Steve. I'm not Steve. Okay, I
oh
think it's hard
goodness.
for Steve to come here because it's gonna be hard time for him to talk about things because he's the one who created this. So yeah, it's gonna be hard.
Well, you
So
got
yeah,
me there.
guys. Yeah. Sorry about that. I really thought about that just today, to be honest. So yeah. So guys, I'm Basoy6658, president of Azusa Pacific. Some school love here. I'm not from the U.S., so I'm currently in the Philippines. It's somewhere in Asia. If you don't know where it is, it's in Asia. Okay. So I'm an Asian guy. It's pretty obvious. So yeah. And I'm glad that, these two guys over here invited me for a talk, though I'm not maybe considered a veteran in hardwood, but I'm open to talking about things. Yeah, encourage people.
you may not consider yourself a veteran, but you're one of the fastest rising teams in the game, I'd say. So we're
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
So
if
we're
I
quite
could,
excited to have you.
I would say if I would try to rub it off a little, from league level 6, I'll go to league level 2 surely this year.
Right,
So
yeah.
in just like 7.5 season, 7.5.
Yeah, that's
I'm
like a
not sure if
meteoric
I'm the
rise.
fastest, but maybe I'm one of them. You know, Probably. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's been teams that have risen from like six to two or even one, maybe. I don't know about consecutive seasons, but like that was early on in the early days versus, you joined back in 2010 and then obviously to now. So I'd say the game has changed a lot more, like just as the
Yeah.
years have gone, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. It has, I would say, improved a lot. I would say there are even changes that probably we didn't know that happened that, Steve doesn't want to tell just because of
Hmm.
the fact on how it works. So I guess it is because I kind of feel it when I play it and, explore it and stuff like that. It's just how it feels. And I just love the game, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we're happy to have you. Thanks for joining us, by the way.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, waking you guys up too early, I think, is kind of hard, but I'm
I mean,
pretty sorry
we're
about
we're
that.
awake by this time. We just don't really
Yeah, I would
record. Yeah.
say I'm more of a night person. Yeah.
Um. So let's see. How did you find hardwood?
Um, it's quite a long story, to be honest, but okay, but I think before I answer that, I'd like to can I like tell some shout outs first?
Oh
Because
yeah, yeah.
they're like quite significant. I'd like to shout out to Cool Spot of Black Hill State who gave me the only loss for the season currently. And I talked to him and learned that we are from the same country.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, really. And
Well, Philip.
To Divac, who's a fellow overseas guy. and meme guy with me on the server. We both of us are like the ones who keep sharing the memes. To
Yeah.
Fury, who hopes it was Steve right here, but sorry, my friend, the bus just came. Okay, and then to Bridger, who is one of the goats of hardwood. Who I'll admit right now, he's the one who inspires me on his consistency. To Steve for the game itself, who always makes the game interesting and not stagnant. Thank you. And just these two cool dudes who are dishing out contents every week. Who I thank for giving me an opportunity to be here at their show on a not so convenient time for them. So yeah, props for them, guys. You have to like, share, and subscribe to these two guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So yeah, so getting to tell you how did I find hardwood? I was simply looking for a college basketball type of game on Google, and hardwood was one of the results. The reason why I searched for one is because I played buzzer beater. I think most of the people there also mentioned that they came from buzzer beater. Beater, it's like a basketball game too, but it's like more of a pro level kind of way. And I kind of stayed there for quite some time. I would say 13 seasons, and one season there is like around 6 months, if I could remember right. So that's quite long. I started playing it when I was still in college, so it was like my hobby at those times. And I managed to be a historic U21 coach there, under 21 coach, after beating the powerhouse team of China, which I would say is like it's like us being a Division 3 team in hardwood beating a Legends League team
Yeah. Wow.
on a championship game. So it's on that degree, on a championship game, and thus making my country qualify for the World Cup. So that made me quite historical in that game. So I stopped playing that. I got busy in college, and then I also played Hoops Dynasty by What If Sports. If you
Oh
kind of
yeah.
know that, yeah, that's another college browser simulation game which was not free to play, but the gameplay was really great until they changed the way of recruiting, and I would say more than half of its community left the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to play What If Sports, but never like the ones where you pay. It was just always those week-long trials, and that was it.
Oh, okay. So I kind of play like around 5 seasons. I just really want to try and see if it's kind of worth it. But when I came, it just fell off. It was like on the breaking point of the game when I came. So
Hmm.
yeah, and uh, and then having an itch to play something basketball related, I found hardwood like a match made in heaven. After trying out hardwood for about a week, I got so hooked, you know, because when I'm trying out this browser games, I would always like, okay, let's register and then try for a day or a week and see how the game progress, how the game engine works and stuff like that. And then after trying hardwood for about a week, I got so hooked. Having experienced the two games I mentioned earlier, felt that hardwood was, the offspring of those two. And
Hmm.
that really made me say, okay, I'm going to stick to this game, no more trial period. You know, because it was just the mix of both of those two games where I came from. So that's kind of, I would say, edge in my part, because I already learned how recruiting kind of works, kind of similar. And then relegation promotion, it's similar in buzzer beater as well. So it's those kinds of stuff. And scenario managing your team, coach, tactics and stuff. Everything. And yeah, that's it. How I found hard.
Nice. Nice.
That's a pretty cool story, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, quite long, but
No, I mean,
worth it. Yeah,
it feels like by the time you started hardwood, you had a pretty decent background into like, you knew what you were walking into in terms of like
yeah,
recruiting and all
yeah.
that stuff.
And
Yeah.
like, uh, aside from those backgrounds, I actually played varsity basketball in high school. I technically got offers here in college to
Hmm.
play basketball college, but I was torn between two choices. Like, um, my mom wanted me to accept a scholarship for studies instead of an athletic scholarship, so I kind of took that instead of playing. So, and not to brag, but I would say I'm like, uh here in my country, I would say I'm recruited in the higher, probably I would say I'm like a four-star prospect in some way.
Whoa.
So yeah, but only
Nice.
in our country. I think if I'm in the US, I'd only be like, I'm not even gonna get ranked, I think. So yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, yeah,
That's really
that's it.
cool. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
on one hand, you had the choice between an athletic scholarship to play basketball, but you also had
yeah,
an academic scholarship.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Because like here in my country, especially technically in Asia, parents always want your your kids to go into school rather than other things. So even
Right.
if it was like stuff. So yeah, I ended up doing it for her because I love my mom and stuff like that. But if I had to go back right now, to be honest, I'd get this. I'd really like to play. To be honest, yeah, that's it. But yeah, that's basically how it. But yeah, I'm happy where I am. So yeah,
Yeah, that's the important thing, right?
yeah,
so I guess that leads into the next question. Then, how did you
yeah.
choose? How did you land on Azusa Pacific?
That's like a really good question. To be honest, I honestly wanted to go UCLA. Okay, or some big program I already know in the NCAA, because I'm not from America and stuff like that. So I only wanted to go to the ones I already know and stuff like that. So because I'm not really familiar of the others, because I'm not. And then when I was choosing, I realized that the programs I've already known are taken. Like, oh, come on. That was like also like a turning point for me to not even register anymore, because I don't have a team that I like, and stuff like that. And it's hard if you don't like a team. If you love a team and then you cannot get it.
Hmm.
And but I should have been more aware of that happening technically, you know. So the next criteria that made me decide what was that uh I'm a Laker fan, you know. Rest in peace Kobe Gianna. And eventually chosen to pick a team in California because of that. So when I was scrolling, I was already aware of the game format, relegation and promotion after reading the manual. So that narrowed my choices again to, I need to choose a D3 school, which I would like to be in California. Okay.
Hmm.
So because I want to like start and really learn the game from itself, like from the downward side, then rise up to wherever I came, you know. Uh, and then in my perspective, Azusa Pacific sounds really cool. Azusa Pacific,
Yeah.
and to me, uh, that not only that it sounds valuable, in a way, because I live technically, beside the Pacific Ocean. So yeah, might be weird, but that's how I ended up choosing, you know, because
No,
of the Pacific, and stuff like that.
I think that totally makes sense. Given that you're not from here and
Yes,
everything,
yes,
but yeah, you have a lot of like different ties, I think, to it, which is really cool. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
always
That's
interesting to find out how people sort of narrow down their choices, and especially someone from overseas. Like, I couldn't even imagine finding all these random teams, random colleges, and you're like, who? What is this?
yeah, yeah. That's basically it. I'm just probably like technically quite lucky because I'm like a follower of basketball in the US. So I quite know some things and stuff like that. So yeah, but if like someone who doesn't know things like that and just wants to play basketball, it's gonna be like, what are this? Are this like computer generated? teams and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, when you first joined, you said you looked up a bunch of or you said you kind of like knew some things about it already, like the relegation, the promotion. Um, did you like look up the roster or the situation at APU at all beforehand?
Not really, not really, because like when I pick a team, I don't really at that point I don't really understand what was the strength of the team.
Mm.
Like what is this like? Does 19 shooting inside or a 20 shooting inside is like worth it? Should I like have more seniors or better freshmen and stuff like that? So I was like, I didn't really have an idea. It was just barely because of the name that I chose it up. It's
Got
like
it.
that's it.
So then what advice would you give to a new president coming in? Um, I mean, it could be someone who, like international who knows nothing about, America and the colleges, if
Uh,
you want.
I think it would be three things, to be honest. Three
Mhm.
things. Let's kind of break it down. I would say it's first would be understand and choose your identity. So because if you don't understand the game, it's hard to move forward, and you cannot make your identity of your team, right? So if you don't understand the game, how can you specifically point that, oh, I wanna be like a run and gun team. I wanna be a defensive team. I wanna be like a very, boring team but gets it done.
Mhm.
I wanna play like motion offense, Princeton offense, stuff like that. I wanna be like a hard pressing team and just keep running, running, running. So so you should understand that, and then so in my case I kind of went for a defensive type of team. It's like I feel like defensive kind of teams are always the best teams when it comes to any form of basketball. So I understood that these are the guys that I'm lacking. So those are like the guys I'm gonna get. So I don't want to be specific about it. I might lose to some recruitings just because of that. Okay. And then uh second, I would say is after understanding the game and choosing your identity, you should second is spend more time in value of recruiting. You know, I see a lot of coaches just dump points and dump points to people they cannot simply get. You know, and that's the reason why you have to understand the game first. Because if you don't
Mhm.
understand, why are you gonna dump points into you know uh uh opponents that are you're not gonna win the recruit. You like have like zero chance of stuff like that. So you have to spend time in value of recruiting because uh as a new user before I would like technically go for 5 stars, to be honest, because I don't know how recruiting really works in hardwood. So yeah, so as a tip for newer presidents, it's okay to like stick to 3 stars, 2 stars player, even like 10 pot or 11 pot guys. If you're just in level 6 or league level 5, that's just okay. It's just okay. You can win games just by doing that. You can even stay in legends having those guys if you just really know how to, formulate your team and understand what's your strength, what's your weakness, and then just you know game game plan on that.
Mhm.
Just knowing your identity. Just if you know your identity, it's much easier to play the game. You know, and then third is scouting opponents. Okay, this is like I would say my most common mistake when in my first and second season. I like technically just do the default uh offense and defense in my default depth chart all the time. Like I just use it. I didn't even change it, to be honest, for 2 seasons. So I just let it be. And I felt like that was a rookie mistake in hardwood in my side. So I kind of changed it up. I w- I I know you guys are aware that I play zone a lot, to be honest. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna mention this, but I technically play zone a lot because my players are short. I don't have the size,
Hmm.
and I could cover up space just playing the zone. So, you know, by scouting, I understood that my team is not really good when it comes to man to man and stuff like that. And then just with recruiting, I technically with zone, I feel like I can save up stamina because not all of my players have good stamina. So I feel like playing zone preserves the stamina. And this is like the most misconception of my team is they always thought that I play slow. But
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna give you like I'm gonna tell it, to be honest. I don't care if my opponent scout me right now. I actually play fast, to be honest. My pace is always on positive. I sometimes put it in negative, but I always put it in positive. You know. So and then other coaches think that when you are like stronger than your opponent, you have to play fast all the time. That's like the most common in the forums. But in my perspective, knowing the game physically, because I played it, why force the game to go fast and make them shoot as much as they can when you can play it slow and then not give them a shot at all, right? So why do I have to make them play fast and have more attempts even though they have a small chance of hitting those field goals? So why would I if I can just not simply give them nothing? So yeah,
yeah.
that's basically my logic.
That's a good point. I remember when I was like doing the write up for the conference, and we were in the same conference. I said your team played
Mm,
slow because what I was looking at was like the number of field goal attempts you had
yeah,
up to that point. Because this was like before conference play had started, and
yeah,
so we didn't have like that possessions per game stat yet, really. So I didn't know you played fast. And then I looked at it this season though,
mm.
when reviewing your team, and I was like, oh wow, he actually does play fast. So I didn't know if that was like a change or that's just the way you've always
Oh
done it.
really? Since we were in the same league, I haven't changed it, to be honest.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm technically exposing myself right now. No. So
That's
yeah.
okay. Yeah. I
But
mean,
don't
like
worry, don't worry, NT opponents. I got you covered. No, I'm just kidding.
um, and then you mentioned zone. Actually, Rob kind of just learned the benefits of zone, I'd say,
Mm.
in this game.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting that you say you play zone because your players are shorter. Because
Yes.
I've almost thought about it like the opposite. Because I usually go for like longer players, like
Yeah.
wingspan, and then like I feel like that helps me play zone because then it's or zone helps me like uh, emphasize that aspect of my teams just because they
Yeah.
can cover more space with their bodies, I guess. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
that two sides of it. Yeah. What else? Yeah. So do you change your tactics like every game though?
Nowadays, I would say maybe 70% of the time, I change my tactic just to confuse my opponents because feel like my opponents are getting smarter. You know, when I was in league level 6, it simply doesn't feel like it's a problem in my team. But once the first time I got into Division 1, I got, you know, like totally destroyed by all other teams. And I don't blame my players. I technically blame myself for not preparing well enough, for not, learning or crafting a system for my own team. So yeah, that made me realize that, oh, okay, so when it comes to these kinds of leagues, I have to, because if I don't, I'll just keep losing, and I hate losing. Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's something that we all share,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hate for losing. So you're obviously having a great season. At this point, you're number 3 in the top 25 poll. You're number 1 in the whole game in terms of RPI. you've basically risen to the top of the entire hardwood universe, right? Like that's everybody respects that. And you're in LL3, right? You're not in Legends yet. You're sitting atop
Yes.
everyone in terms of RPI. Do you want to sort of talk about your rise a little bit? Like in the early years, did you really expect this to happen? Did it sort of just start and then was like, a continuous thing?
To be honest, I didn't quite expect it to be like on as fast as I think I've come. I think I was thinking around 10 seasons, to be honest, to like be in somewhat of a run for Division 1 and go and in I would say in a ascending way and stuff like that. Not like the Division 1 this year, Division 2 the next year, and then Division 1 the next year again.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of thinking around maybe 10 seasons, and but I would say I maybe I outdone myself in a way, and it showed in my history. You could if you could see my history, to be honest, there was only one losing season I had. All my seasons are always winning. So yeah, that's you know how great it is. And then well, I've been really lucky, I think, and then after picking number one right now at the RPI and high at the poll, I was, really happy, to be honest. I didn't expect that, to be honest. I didn't expect that. But, I actually think that I did a loophole. Okay. So this is where the loophole comes. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not, it's not about the formula of how it goes, in my opinion. Because I actually think I did the loophole in hardwood that sadly I have to talk about right now. You know, I'm not forcing Steve to like uh, fix this or what because I think it's unfixable in a way. Okay, so uh, as a as a league level 3 team, uh, well, this works even more for a league level 4 team. You know, in my opinion, you should always play a weaker schedule, no matter what. That is technically the loophole of things.
Oh wow.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? The more games you win, the higher the chance you can help your chance at the polls. Plus, it helps you in seeding for the national tournament. And I think everyone understands that. But the loophole here is that a stronger league level like the legends cannot benefit from this type of technique. Okay, even if they cannot afford to schedule weaker opponents because I think that affects their RPI in a negative way more than positively, in my opinion. Plus, they don't have the higher chance of winning conference games. So even if they went down and you know, uh, they don't lose a single game at their non-conference game, when they come to their conference game, they cannot argue anymore because they're facing legends. So whatever happens, they're gonna lose. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the benefit of league level 3 and league level 4. Because that's like the entry point of Division 1, where some are like not consistent teams, not I would say some become bot teams, some are like a fluke of getting up in the Division 1. So you know you could exploit that by using a weaker schedule, and then just like me, that's what I did, to be honest. I played a weaker non-con, and I was lucky that I was very strong in my own conference, and that made me only result into a one loss, and that's it. And, technically that's a loophole because
Yeah.
legends cannot do that. Legends League cannot do that. It's how the game is structured. you know so
Huh.
yeah, that's basically how the logic goes. That's I consider it a loophole, to be honest. You know, because they
Yeah.
cannot. I can exploit it every time if I'm on that league level, but the legends can simply not. They cannot.
That's interesting. I never thought of that, right? Yeah, Rob, didn't you like one of our last podcasts you said like never put it on week, right?
Two podcasts ago, we were talking about scheduling and RPI and
Yeah,
tourney seeds,
yeah.
and
I think yeah,
I was like, never put it on week because it's gonna hurt your RPI and straight the schedule. but I only have experience in League Level 6 and now League Level 5 for the first time this season. So
Yeah. So when
yeah.
you guys go to League Level 4, you can try it.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Yeah, you can try it. Yeah.
That's a really interesting loophole though. Yeah, I never thought of it, but because I always thought of like strength of schedule being the most important component of RPI. Not the most important, but like
Yeah.
really
But
really strong.
that's the that's the strength of the loophole itself. As long as you win, you're gonna rise in the RPI because
Mm-hmm.
the Legends League cannot keep. They cannot be consistent. They cannot be consistent. In Legends League, almost everyone is like neck and neck with each other. So
True.
whatever
Yeah.
happens, there's a guy there that's gonna go down, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the way. And that's like your chance to go up in the rankings. That's why you can see a lot of this league level 3, league level 4 guys are on top of top 25 poll. Where you could expect like the top 25 poll should at least consist of all the Legends League team, but
Right.
on the
Right.
way how it's structured in hardwood, it's not going to be like that. So
That's
So
cool.
I just did a quick peek, and you have the 12th toughest strength of schedule in your conference. But then we already mentioned the fact that you have the best RPI in the whole freaking game.
yeah.
So that's evidence of what you're saying.
Yeah, that's it. I played weak, but where am I? That's where I
There's
am
no
right now.
arguing with it.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
Crazy
Wow.
loophole.
So
Look at this insider content.
when do you think you like found out this loophole?
I technically found it earlier, to be honest. That I really like to keep it in myself, to be honest. But
Okay.
the thing
Sure.
there is, if I'm aiming to be in Legends, that's my goal, and even when I get to Legend, I cannot repeat that loophole.
Mm.
You can like technically do it like some seasons of your career, but you cannot always do it if you're competitive. But if you're not competitive, you can like exploit it every time and look like the team who's like always on top every year. you know you can technically do that and exploit it, but you know
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe that's what Bowling Green did, except they just lost yesterday.
oh yeah,
They were the last undefeated team, but now not anymore. All right. So you've been playing since the 2010 season, right?
yes.
And do any players or moments from those early seasons especially stand out to you? Um, fond memories or heart crushing?
mm, a lot, to be honest, a lot. I'm I would say my early days are like really rough in hardwood because I cannot like technically make my team play the way I wanted it to be. It's just frustrating. It's not like how I envision it to be. So yes, so I came halfway of 2010 season already, and had to learn everything on the fly.
Yeah.
Because it was middle season. I cannot like change how the team is winning and how are we gonna improve on our losses. It's just like whatever's whatever is happening right there, just leave it. Just leave it. So yeah, I can remember this one guy in my team before. His name was I think Alan Flood, and he was a red-shirted senior when I came on the team, and he helped me learn what skill set of a player in what kind of SI in this game could really post some good numbers. So he was like the leading team on my team. So his skill set showed me like, oh, this skill set, this level is you could like average those kinds of numbers. So that was like a good learning experience for me. Then going to my second full season, so that's technically my third if you consider the half one. I had so many scholarships to build up, and knowing the mechanics of recruiting already, I was lucky to see the two top 15 players that had no interest from anyone.
Wow.
So I quickly jumped into those guys,
Mhm.
and they were my main guns right now. You know, Mason Mayo McNulty. You know, I just put Mayo in his nickname. Then John Holman. You know, and was very lucky to get Holman quickly. You know, at maybe around like cycle 11, even though he doesn't have a eager to commit early, and
Wow.
around only like 30 contacts. You know, so I think Coleman at that time was around rank 15 in his class. So I was lucky, 11 cycles, around 30 contacts, if I could remember right. And at around 20-ish, early 20-ish cycle, uh, I got McNulty. So Holman at 11, McNulty at 20-ish. So 2 5 stars already, so early. So
Wow.
that gave me
Yeah, I'm
more
looking at them.
time
Hmm.
to get the certain guys that would complement those two. You know, I actually wanted Holman to play small forward, but then I got an SF who had a crazy vertical and has some weight on him. So I kind of realized that guy can defend the perimeter, but also can bang bodies inside when I needed. So I just simply built role players around those two guys. But one role player, which I thought was simply a role player, became also a vital part of my team. And that is Alejandro Nightmare Rosado. Yeah, I like to put Nightmare in it because, he has so much strength. And his development really shocked me, you know. He was a 77 SI freshman who is now a 160 SI, you know. So,
I'm pulling him up
yeah,
now to look it up.
okay. So he's only a 77 SI freshman who is now 160 to be honest. Oh, okay.
Holy.
He even went 161 right now. So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
only started at his junior season. So I was really impressed of his development. And to be honest, in my early seasons, I had a poor development coach. Most of my coaches are not good at development.
Hmm.
So I was really lucky. He went to 160 from 77 to 160, almost 100, and just like 2 seasons of starting. So I'm not sure if maybe I'm making it dramatic in a way, but I feel like that's really big. That's really big. And then
Yeah.
he has been an anchor on my defense right now. 6'8" center with 2.2 steals and then 1.8 blocks per game.
Oh wow.
So technically those numbers are like rough indicators of how much you impact on defense. So probably those 2.2 steals per game might be five deflections and stuff like that, and five uh uh entry passes that were stopped in a way. So I kind of look at it that way, so it's not like basically the stat. And then 1.8 blocks, so maybe around, I think, 5 shots per game that he might altered in a way, that he hasn't blocked, but technically altered in a way. So yeah, I feel like he's like really good, really really good. I really like him. He has the right points in the right way I want him to play. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I played you back in 2015. I remember he was coming off the bench, behind kind of like
uh
a
I
bigger
think
big man.
it was like Jeff Reed, I think, if I could remember that right,
Let's
because
see.
Jeff Reed has like more, uh
Transactions.
I think he had more, I think he had better skill index in my opinion. So that's
Hmm.
just basically it.
And it was Stein, Joshua Stein here. That
Yeah,
was the guy.
Joshua Stein was like a recruit I regretted, to be honest.
Yeah.
I regret, but I had to because I had no bigs at that time. I just had to, I just had to. So yeah, for new coaches, if you have no choice, just fill it up because it hurts you more of not having anyone there than having someone that could at least, play, you know. So that's my point. Even though it's a waste of the scholarship, at least it would get you, some. some it would get you by at least.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think that makes a lot of sense. The more depth you have at big, the better, obviously. Um, I mean,
Sorry, I just saw this.
it doesn't hurt that you have two
Yeah.
talented bigs. I just wanted to
Yeah.
look at his high school growth because like we're trying to find indicators of why this guy could have such a meteoric rise year over year in terms
Yeah,
of
but look
development.
at if you could see his high school skill index growth, it's not even really good.
It's yeah, it's very meager.
Yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. So I don't know what. Maybe Steve, kind of like him and put some magic in it. I'm not sure, but you know,
Maybe you
you
are
know,
Steve.
yeah. Who knows?
Who
Who
knows?
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
That's cool.
Wow. Yeah, it's cool to see the growth of these guys a couple years later from when I played them. Yeah, I remember McNulty was like your kind of your star back then, and
Yeah.
still too, and now he's even better.
Right now, my star is like I think Rafael Keeper has like completely taken the spotlight right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it went that way, but I think I'm not sure. It's like I feel like it's more assertive. I feel like there's a hidden trait in players that Steve is not, don't want to talk about it and stuff because I actually have more green light on McNulty than
Hmm.
anyone else on my team, but Keeper always, feels like the superstar of the team in my season right now.
I
So
definitely I definitely feel like there's some hidden aspect of like a guy
yeah,
just
yeah,
takes more shots, is more
yeah.
aggressive, even
I feel
without the
like
green
there's
light.
something like that. Yeah, I also feel that it's like there's a guy who is like more prone to fouling. There's a guy that not thinking about IQ. Because I think I've seen guys that are even high IQ but still fouls a lot.
Hmm.
There are also this injury prone players. There are these players who likes to shoot so many trees. There are these players who like to dunk all the time, and run all the time and stuff like that. So yeah, that's I think those are hidden traits that I don't think Steve wanna disclose because that's the beauty of the game, and I like it secret. To be honest, I like it
Yeah,
secret.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you're speaking about a lot of players that you have that you love, but is there a recruit that you really, really wanted but got away? Somebody stolen from you?
Mm, uh,
You can call him out. It's
huh.
okay.
Ah, my heart. It hurts. From my friends. There was this one specific guy I wanted that stinged me until now. After seeing him develop, to be honest, he is on the same class as Holman and McNulty, and it hurts me because I feel like if I got him, I might have beaten IUPUI last year on the national tournament. And that guy is in Stanford right now.
Mm.
His name is Jonathan Melvin, you know. And how I really wish I got him right now. I think he would definitely be a big boost for my team right now. Maybe having him could, secure me a national title this year. Maybe. I would say he's as undersized big man as well, like Coleman, but I feel like I could really, put him in my style and make him really contribute a lot. Maybe if he was on my team, I think maybe Rosado would come off the bench and maybe he would start, or maybe Jonathan Melvin would come off the bench and like put like I would like give him the green light to like just be my six man, stuff like that.
Do you see?
Yeah,
Or they might come the both of those three guys come all together and I'll slide Holman into small forward because he's just that flexible of a player. So
Did you
right.
put a lot of contacts into him?
not really, not really.
Okay.
I felt because when I recruit, I always have a like tier list of who to target first, and my priority those times were Holman and national team. So I was exclusively putting points on them at them, and then all of a sudden I already saw Melvin was like technically high with Stanford, and yeah, that's it. And it kind of hurt me because the president of Stanford left his team. So you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm looking at him now. Yeah, he's a good player for sure.
yeah, I feel like he's a beast inside you, really beast.
Um, yeah, so you talked about how Melvin would be able to potentially help you last year and this year in the tourney, but what's been more important to you throughout your time on hardwood, promotion and conference success or the tourney success?
What matters to me most?
Yeah, yeah.
To be honest, I like to like on the national tournament more because like when you aim for that, it technically means you're gonna also do good in your conference, right?
Sure.
So why not aim for it? Everyone wants to be a champion. Everybody wants to be. I really like it. That's why like at the start of the show, I mentioned that Bridger is like my inspiration right now because of how consistent he is. So I hope I get a chip before he can. So you know, so maybe I'm not sure. Maybe. So I'm not building a rivalry here, Bridger. Okay, I'm not.
I think you are.
Yeah, I'm
Final
not.
four
I'm not. I'm
matchup right
not.
here.
I feel like Bridger would make me look like trash when he gets it on. After looking at his recruiting class this year, I'm hands up right now. I
Yeah,
don't.
it,
I don't.
it's crazy good, huh?
Yeah.
he got the podcast bump when it comes
Hope,
to
hey,
recruiting.
hopefully, it's tournament. It's almost tournament time. Hopefully, this is your podcast bump to, win some conference titles, some tournament success,
Yeah. I
right?
hope. I hope because I've like it's like twice or I think maybe twice or thrice that I've never won a conference title, and I ended up like second place in the conference, and in the conference playoffs I lose on the early rounds. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of hurt me a lot. So but I think it's also a blessing in disguise because I don't want to risk the chance of my players getting hurt before the national tournament. So maybe I'm not gonna make the conference playoffs not serious, to be honest. I'm thinking about not playing at all, to be honest.
Yeah, sometimes I think
Yeah,
about it as like, oh, it's just days off
yeah,
before the national
yeah. It's
tournament.
like I feel like that's the biggest heartbreak that I could get right now is if I lose some key players heading into the national tournament. So that would be like a big what if to me. Like, oh, what if I had like a full team playing this tournament where when I was like, ranked number one, and I had the highest TPI. So yeah, so I'm technically thinking about boycotting the conference. To be honest, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I've thought about it too before.
yeah. I just technically play the game smart. That's how I do it. Loopholes and boycotts.
It helps when you
Yeah,
have the number one RPI because you know you're going to make the tournament.
yeah,
Some of us are
yeah.
on the bubble, so
Yeah, we got to push a little bit more for
yeah.
sure.
Um, so you were one of the first teams to hire a coach that was generated like as an assistant, right? As your head coach, Denny Purvis. He had no reputation when you hired him as head coach, though. Like, what was your thought process behind that?
Uh, I honestly was trying to get a younger coach as much as I can. I was always trying to aim for a coach that's around age 30, you know. But when I got him, he was like already 40. So I had to get him because there's not so many coaches that we would like to hire. And then uh, I would always want a high recruiting, high development stat. And that was the big reason my previous coaches were short stints. So it's the previous coach was like an upgrade of the other coach and the upgrade of the other coach and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So when I had a few scholarship season coming in, that became my urge to find one because it was a few scholarship seasons, so it wouldn't really hurt me that much on recruiting, even if I change a coach. So that made me like, okay, let's get a coach right now and help my team in the long run. Then I found two candidates, uh, and I had them on bookmark, so I could still remember. My coach right now is Danny. I'd like to call him Zen Master, Purvis, and the other candidate was Lloyd Gibson, who is on East Tennessee State Buccaneers now. Both of them at that time were freshly generated. But to tell you again, honestly, at those times, I can still see their reputation.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a week before Steve hid it. So again, a very lucky scenario for me. You know,
Hmm.
it's not a loophole. It's just a very lucky scenario. So I ended up with Coach Purvis because both of them have identical reputations. But Coach Gibson had a he is a below average at coaching offense. So that made my decision on picking up Coach Purvis. But if you look at Gibson now, how I wish I have chosen him. To be honest, like
Oh yeah. Let's see.
his his ratings are like so good right now.
Let's pull him up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's he's on East State Tennessee. Yeah. If you can look at him and then compare him to my coach, it's much better, to be
Wow,
honest.
15 in
wow.
motivation.
Yeah.
Wow, he's
Wow.
developed a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah,
over
he
three
developed a
seasons.
lot and within 2 years, you know.
Yeah.
And comparing him to my coach,
And here's
you know,
Purvis.
it feels like he got most, And I kind of regretted that because of that single reputation line of he is below average at coaching, that swayed me off from him. And that hurt me, to be honest. If I were to choose between them, But yeah, no offense to Danny Furbis, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, Purvis is still a good coach
Yeah.
for sure, and you've had a lot of success, so you can't like
Yeah, I
be too
cannot
sad, I guess.
disregard on him, yeah, and discredit him for what he has done to my department,
Right,
you know.
right.
And he's gonna get me a championship.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Some yeah.
Um, and then let's talk a little bit about your recruiting because it has. I don't know. It's hard to describe this year. I know it started out kind of slow, right? But you ended up landing a 5 star in California, Owen Ferrari, and then you also a little before that you got like a what looks like a really solid big man in Malik Farr, right? So, how has your recruiting philosophy changed as you've moved up, or has it, basically stayed the same? Um, Talk about your recruiting situations, I guess, over the past few years.
Uh, to be honest, I was like uh, always bringing up memes about my team on the Discord because
Hmm.
it like everybody was like, "Oh, I got this guy, I got this guy, and that guy," and I was like, "I'm just here and hey, recruiting, come on, you know, come on, commit to me, my friend, you know." And I was like, some days I don't really like wanna open up the Discord anymore because I don't want to see more recruitings, and I get jealous to be like, oh, they're getting their guys while and I might lose those guys, to be honest, because I battle with teams who are also high and are like very good teams as well on Division 1. So I get I got very lucky again.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about Ferrari. You know, having McNulty graduating is a big blow to my program, but who wouldn't be happy with a Ferrari? You know, so yeah, honestly, I'm actually thinking about his nickname the other day, and so yeah, so anyone in the Discord, please help me. Okay. You don't always get a Ferrari. Okay. Okay. Then Malik Far is a much bigger commit for me than Ferrari in my current need, to be honest. I feel
Mhm.
like Malik Far is much bigger to me. Like if I were to lose Ferrari, I would it's gonna be like okay for me, but to lose on Far would be like devastating, you know. Even though Ferrari is a bigger fish, Far gives me more than Ferrari could give on my team right now. And then he gives me the height that I never got because I always look at, technically I always look at wingspan and just completely disregards the height.
Mhm.
Because in my opinion, in basketball, when you're shooting the ball, you always raise your hand. Thus making your wingspan the real value of your height.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you shoot like Sean Mario, and shoots like this. So
Fun
you know,
fact. Fun fact.
yeah, fun fact.
Andrew shoots the basketball just like Sean Marion.
It's not like in front
it's
of my face. It's over here. It's
it's
over
over
here.
here a little bit,
Okay,
but it's the
okay.
same like quick flick. It's the
Yeah,
same shot.
it's
So
like you're playing volleyball.
it's
You're not
really
shooting. You're
funny that
playing
you mentioned
volleyball.
that. Oh
So
gosh.
yeah. So yeah, so that's my reason. That's why I don't really look at the height. I only look at wingspan because when you play basketball, your wingspan is technically how you play the game. Unless you're Sean Marion, yeah, again. Then when you are on defense, you're surely extend your hand no matter what. Like
Hmm.
you extend your hand no matter what. And speed plus IQ plus inside defense or perimeter defense will cope up with the height that you are lacking. So if you're smart and then you're technically your speed is really fast, then technically you can get there in defense. You can get there. So that's also one of the reason why I played zone because of my height as a team. And then people underestimate me because I'm small. But if you look at the wingspan of my guys, they're technically on I would say on an average height level as my opponents. So that comes with a deception. I feel like I'm giving teams an illusion that I'm so much small and they like to pound it inside. But what happens is I'm technically in a zone and they pay for it.
Right.
So and then uh So yeah, I'm really excited to get a few more recruits this season after picking up those two. I have two targets right now, to be honest. One is I think it's a guard from Sweden, and then one is a big man from Montenegro, I think.
Oh, you may not want to check recruiting today.
Yeah, you can check my recruiting tab. I think it shows because I already offered them scholarships, so I'm trying to get those two guys, to be honest.
Oh,
People
I
might
said that
argue
because
with
you
me. Yeah.
I said that because you lost one today.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
checked. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Breaking news here.
oh my God. Oh my
which
God. Live on the podcast. I got
Yeah,
heartbroken.
which
yeah.
one would it hurt more to lose? Be honest.
I feel like the big man would hurt the most.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about stacking up on big men right now.
Yeah, well, I'll leave it to you to check later on.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um,
So
but yeah, I mean, I just checked like the wingspans on the team, what was most surprising was Kiefer, the point guard, who's
yeah.
6'4". He has like one of the bigger wingspans on your team at
Yeah.
6'11", which is
Yeah. It's like
crazy.
Kawhi to me, to be honest.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yes, Kawhi. And the
Yeah,
good thing is it's always on the ball handler of the opposing team. And that's really good. I like pesky point guards, to be honest. It's like you have to like have a man on the ball most of the time and just pressure the ball. Because if you pressure the ball, the whole
nice.
system of the opponent's team just crumbles. Especially if the opponent doesn't have a high IQ plus a decent ball handling, that guy could mess up the whole team. So
Totally.
So that's like my I would say perspective on looking at it that way, you know. And then uh to, I was also to be honest, I honestly put Deshaun Cherry on my second option. Uh recruits. But you know, I think Rob got him on first, so yeah, great find, Rob. You're lucky I didn't put him on first. If I did, I probably made you heartbroken right now. You know, losing to me and then talking with me on the pipeline. That's like that hurts, bro.
We probably would. We wouldn't have invited you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So yeah, and then to be honest, not only that guy. Okay,
I know it's coming.
I was supposed to bully you guys on those two recruits. Uh, because and Andrew, I hate to say this, but Palmer was really on my second option as well. You know,
I remember you telling me that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like those two guys, to be honest. Even though they were not, I would say, suitable or fit for my team, I think that they could have been a good role player or at least a valuable player around those two superstars that I just got. You know, because that's I would say that's the best tip I would give to most presidents. Don't create superstar team. You don't really need it. You know, you have to like you can get at least some stars, but you have to like build around those guys and like make things complement those guys that you are gonna be your main guns, and then that's it. That's my formula of success to be right now. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
There's only one ball to
so
shoot, right?
I was supposed to bully you guys on those two recruits, to be honest. You know, but you know, I had to stay with my first options. You know, priorities, which kind of hurt me honestly. You know, because I honestly got them both at very high, at around 10-ish, 10-ish cycle,
Hmm.
and committed to me around 30-ish. So that was like very long time where I was keep, you know, putting points at them just to ensure that I truly get them, because I cannot like rely that, oh, I'm already very high at 10-ish cycle and I think he hasn't got here yet, so I could like move on already. But I'm not that kind of guy. I'd like to secure things more often. And then so yeah, that was very unfortunate for me this season right now, you know, that uh I had to like battle most of my points to fight for those two guys, which you know turns out very good to me. Like very fortunate for me and very fortunate for you too also, you know.
Yes.
Because if those guys committed to me early at 10-ish cycles, you know, I'll be pounding on Cherry and you know Palmer all the way, to be honest.
But I mean, that's the beauty of this game too, right? I mean, everyone has to prioritize,
Yeah,
certain guys.
you have to prioritize where do you feel like is your level of playing field. So if you
Hmm.
feel like this is the guys on your recruiting, uh which are the top guys for you, you know, and then which are the top guys that you cannot fight for because those top guys are going to be like the top guys for the top teams. So
Hmm.
you know you have to understand that, because if you don't clearly understand that picture, your recruiting will be a disaster every year, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Palmer, I think he's like technically my top guy
Yeah,
this class. So he
that's
wanted
why
to
you know
come.
that's also the reason why I was yesterday I was talking about transfers in
Hmm.
the Discord, because I'd like to you know poach some of your guys.
I
You
think
know, come to Azusa. You know, I'm a bigger school than those two.
I think the transfer idea would be interesting, definitely. Like
Yeah.
I think it would add a lot of like risk, and teams
Yes.
have to
Yes.
manage that risk a lot more then, and that would be really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
the
Really interesting.
the big issue that pops up is the guys that have multiple teams, right? And so you picture somebody having like an LL6 or 5 team with no
Yeah,
scholarships,
and
you
then
sign a
yeah,
top
and
recruit,
then
and then they just transfer him over, right? That's like you'd have to find a way to avoid that.
yeah, and yeah, and to be honest, that's like really, really like you know using their power of it's like not really good in my opinion. And to be honest with you guys, I'm in my own opinion, I'm not really in favor of players having two teams. You know,
Yeah, it's fair.
I'm not really in favor of it. You know, if you're doing it right now, it's okay for me. But in my own honesty, I'm not really in favor of it because it has ways of gains on something that I feel like is not fair to the other players who are playing solo teams that also wants to only place one team. Even though they have the chance to play two teams, they just don't want. Just simply just like me. I'll give myself as an example because uh, that's how I want to play the game. Just one team, that's it, and just win it by that team alone. Because to tell you again, in my former games, there was issues about those kinds of things, like a player transferring to the school because that team was a farm team of that guy. So
Mhm.
that really happens. That really happens. And then so yeah, transfers could be really problematic here in Hardwood, especially of that. And then another thing is that there's already I think Fury I think is the one that mentioned it. I'm not sure, or Ardub I think that mentioned that there's already a way of that, and that's like the junior college. That's like technically a transferring portal, but kind of minimized in a way. So yeah, that's it. But and then for new presidents, I don't recommend you guys to play two teams. For newer presidents, you have to like play one and just completely learn that team alone because in depth you might probably seeing that, oh, it's easy to manage one team. I have to manage another team to make more fun out of it.
Mhm.
But to be truly successful, I feel like having one team is already a big problem. You don't really need to uh, get more, and then you feel like when you get more, you could have fun more and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
that's just me. That's just me. It's my
that's
opinion.
fair. I mean, it was just so fun that we just got caught up in the game. We were like, oh, we have to sign up for another team.
I was also looking at it, to be honest, to have like a second team when I figured out that almost everyone had a second team. But that kind of also made me think that I might use it as a way of winning. If it's permitted, then I would probably use it. But because technically you already understand how I play the game. So but I ended up not registering for another team because
Mhm.
I simply feel it's really unfair in my own opinion.
Yeah, yeah, totally. We hear you on that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I understand your concerns. Certainly, I think, you know, we obviously have been open about the fact that we have multiple teams, but really, it's just because we fell in love with the game, and
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
really it's really good, to be honest, really good.
yeah, it's
uh,
like I don't ever see myself quitting. To be honest, it's such a fun game.
yeah, as for me as well, I don't really see myself to be quitting also. But there's only one thing that bothers me in the game. No offense to Steve, but you know uh, I don't really like the interface that much. To be honest, I'm
Mhm.
not offending Steve. Because before because my college degree is Bachelor of Science in Information Technology, so I'm also an IT developer, to be honest. So I know what is like a good front end design of the game that makes it more interesting in some way, and I feel like Steve could technically kind of improve in those ways, but I'm not pushing Steve in that way. Just some maybe and some benefit or upgrade to keep users more relaxed and then spending more time in it. You know.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be nice aesthetically to like
Yeah,
see
aesthetic.
some things. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
It's a
but
good game.
the game itself, the way it goes, the engine itself is really beautiful.
Hmm.
It's like you're looking at a car that doesn't really, you have to like appreciate what's in the inside more than the outside, and that's the beauty of the game. That's the beauty of how it is. So yeah, I love hardwood. Make me a champ, Steve.
All right. With that, we've been talking for over an hour now. I think we got some really good insight though from Basoy.
Totally.
Yeah. I
And
hope people learned a lot and would take me seriously because I feel like I make people laugh so much, and I'm quite talkative and quirky, and I don't know, maybe weird at some people, but yeah, who knows? Yeah,
well, when you have the number one RPI in the game, people are going to take you seriously. So
For sure. Yeah. How can they not?
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But I think a lot of people will probably take a lot from this. So you had some really good insight.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us again. Yeah, this way.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, guys. So yeah,
All
really
right.
pleasure.
This is the TPI show signing out with Basoy.
All
See
right.
you guys later.